Hello, this is Gil Perez with Bob Boots Financial Office. Presenting to you today, Stephen Sally Smith, a lesson on hedging investments. So we're going to take your actual investments in Cornelius Incorporated, talk a little bit about hedging investments in the three options we have, as well as provide a summary and give an example of what would happen in case of exercising any of these options. Right. So first of all, hedging investments is pretty much like an insurance plan, right? So you would protect your investment with a couple different options, such as call or puts or swaps. So today we're going to talk through three different types of investment hedging strategies. And the first one we'll talk about today is the protective put. A protective put is a put by nature. It's in the name. A put is a purchasing of a right to sell a stock at a specified price. So you could see below here we have an example of graphical representation of what this would look like. Basically, what happens is you buy a premium or pay a premium on a stock. And basically, what you're doing is you're saying that at any time I could sell the stock at this specific price. Usually, what you would want to do is purchase a put when you expect the price to decrease in the stock, and you want to basically provide some level of protection in case of a fallout of that stock. Next option would be a call. So we'll talk about a covered call. A call is basically, you know, the ability to buy a stock at any given price. So you could sell a call. In our example, you could sell a call on the stock. So you would sell it at a premium. You generally would use a call when you don't necessarily expect the value of your stock to increase. The reason for that is if the stock increased significantly, the person you would purchased or you sold this call to would call it in to receive that gain, right? Now, the third option we'll discuss is a swap, particularly an equity swap. What a swap is, it's an agreement to exchange future cash flows, right? You can exchange just dividends, or you could do a total swap. It can be fixed or floating, so you can come up with an agreement that says we're going to completely swap all cash flows, or you could it could be a fixed cash flow, or it could be a percentage known as a floating option there. This typically occurs between two more parties, like I mentioned. Now, there are pros and cons to each one of these approaches. So let's talk about the protective put advantages and disadvantages. Right. It can be difficult to match the actual value and the insured value when purchasing a put. It does provide protection of the value, just kind of similar for all of these options, but it does ensure that if the stock were to decrease significantly, you would not lose a significant portion of your investment. It's definitely a good assurance for long term investments in case you were to lose a lot of money, for example, you were saving for retirement. Now, the covered call, typically what this is you're providing protection against a call, right? So it's not good for a bullish market. We generate income from the equity, and it's used to actually cover the call to reduce the risk. So if the investment increased significantly, you would be able to cover part of the loss in that call. Equity swap, you could potentially lose on both ends of the swap is one of the disadvantages of this. There's not really protection so much into this one. It does provide diversification. So you actually, while you keep your stock you're reaping the benefits of another stock that you exchange for, right? So it is a level of diversification there, and the payments can be volatile, right? So you can actually have a net payment one year, and then have a negative payment the next, just simply because of the way that the cash flows work out between the two. Now we're going to take a look at these three options as it relates to your options here with Cornelius. You currently own 1,000 shares of Cornelius stock. So let's talk about the protective put option first. The current price of the Cornelius stock is 28.87. And then our option here with the put would be a strike price of 29 and a premium of $2.70. This means the break-even price would be $31.70. It would not necessarily be advised to exercise this put option unless the price is expected to fall below $26.30. The reason for that is you won't cover the premium that you lose from the price of the stock unless you're to fall that low, right? So if we're expecting the stock to stay relatively the same or increase in value, protective put would not be a good option. Covered call. So with a current price of $28.87, the strike price of $30, and a premium of $1.80, the break-even price would be $31.80. Right? We would not advise you to write a call option for your stock if you expect the value to rise above $31.80. Right? The reason for that is anything over $31.80 is lost gain. Right? It's lost gain. You won't be able to realize that, and the purchaser of this call option would most likely exercise it. Now, looking at equity swap, we'd be swapping 1,000 shares of the Cornelius Incorporated stock to an S&P 500 index SPY. Right? We have a notional principal of $28,870. And then for this equity swap to be profitable, the capital gains and dividends from Cornelius Incorporated must be greater than that notional principal, $28,000 divided by 1,000 shares, which comes out to $28.87 per share of stock, right? So you would have to have an increase of capital gains and dividends above that to come out profitable. In summary, each one of these options must be researched carefully. There isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. Definitely depending on the scenario and the outlook of the stock. Depends on which one of these options you should exercise. Just high level, a covered call is protection against calls that reduce the returns. Equity swap is an exchange of cash flows, and a protective put is basically insurance on a stock decreasing in value. Right. So replacement of the existing or options put on the existing investment, we would recommend a protective put, which would provide insurance on the stock. So if we, maybe we expect Cornelius Incorporated to fall in value. If that is the case, I definitely recommend we should go with a protective put, which would allow us to recover some of our losses in case of a market fluctuation which causes the stock to decrease. And thank you. And if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. We can discuss further.